How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family. You talking about juicy. I like stuff like this. Oh, I can't contain myself. Oh, I can't. I told y'all yesterday, old Paul Manafort got issues. Oh, boy. And we got another person that's got pressure on him today as I speak. Oh, Rick Gates. Really? Or Richard, or whatever we want to call it. I told y'all they coming after Trump. But right now, you know, they do what they do. Let's not lose sight. That's Trump. You know, the guy below here is Paul, and above him is old Ricky Boy. So let's listen as the plot thickens. Oh, this is so juicy. All of it when I tie it all in. Sweet. Check this out. Hot off the press. Get your popcorn. Get your popcorn. Get your popcorn. Cut it off. Come back. You know, I forgot all that. I got too excited. Here we go.
Charges from the special counsel Robert Mueller. This time charges on a man named Alex Vander Zwaan, charged with essentially lying to investigators, specifically about his contacts with former Trump campaign official Rick Gates, also someone named Person A. Vander Zwaan expected to plead guilty in federal court this afternoon. This came as a big surprise this morning. CNN's Jessica Snyder outside the courthouse with the very latest. Jessica, what have you learned?
Well, John, you said it's somewhat of an unexpected move from Mueller's team here. This is a lawyer from a prominent New York City law firm who does have ties to both Paul Manafort as well as Rick Gates, charged now with lying to the special counsel's office and also for not turning over certain documents. Now, this all is contained in a two-page information. It charges this New York City attorney. His name is Alex Vander Zwaan. Now, to put this all in perspective for you, Alex Vander Zwaan was involved back in 2012 with a team of lawyers. They drafted a report that was used by allies of the Russian-backed Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych to actually justify the jailing of one of their political rivals. Now, the New York Times has also reported in a report back in the fall that Paul Manafort was involved in the commissioning of this drafting of this report. So again, this all ties to Paul Manafort. And as you'll remember, Paul Manafort has pleaded not guilty to a range of charges that relate to his work doing lobbying for the Ukrainian government, Viktor Yanukovych, and also alleged money laundering. So the interesting thing about this is, although this lawyer who has now been charged in this two-page information, although he seems to be tangentially related to this whole Russia probe, he does have these ties to Paul Manafort and Rick Gates. Now, we know that this information was handed down this morning. We expect that this attorney, Alex Vander Zwaan, will appear in court for a plea hearing this afternoon at 2:30. It is expected that he will plead guilty. But the broader picture of this is it really does show how Mueller's probe has expanded here, and it also raises the question, does this further put the pressure on Paul Manafort? Of course, we know that Alex Vander Zwaan connected to Paul Manafort, and of course we know, we've reported that over the past month or so, Rick Gates has been involved in plea negotiations. So the question is, if Rick Gates eventually pleads guilty, if Alex Vander Zwaan pleads guilty this afternoon, as we're expecting, what kind of pressure does this put on Paul Manafort? And obviously this could be a real boon for the special counsel's probe here.
Ooh, you talking about messy. That's some messy shit. That's really some messy shit. That shit is real messy. Oh, it's real messy. I can't help myself. So check this out, my royal family. Check this out, because I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Listen, let me go. Let me see. Are we right here? Oops. I'm messing up. Wait a minute. Let me pull this shit up. Oh, I got to pull this up. We're going to get over here. We're going to get over here. Where? Oh, yeah, right here. Ooh, yes. Now, I can't read the article. Because if I read the article, I'm going to give up the goods. So I will put the article down there in the thread, and y'all can read all of that. But check this out. Crooked eye. eye. Look at her. Look at her real good. Real good. Sarah Sanders melts down trying to defend Trump's tweets, blaming Russia probe for Parkland shooting. Oh, really? Crooked eye. That's all I'm going to give up. Now, let's bask in it even more. This shit is sweet. I'm a mess. Ooh, wait. Listen to this dumb rhetoric. 5 minutes of it. Can you take it? I know you can take it.
Acknowledge what the special counsel indictments made clear, which is that Russians not only tried to meddle but interfere and influence the 2016 election.
Absolutely, and the president has acknowledged that multiple times before. He acknowledged it during the transition, he acknowledged it during a press conference in Poland, and he acknowledged it for a third time at a press event in Poland. He has stated several times, I think one of the places where you guys seem to get very confused, and it seems to happen regularly, the president hasn't said that Russia didn't meddle. What he's saying is it didn't have an impact, and it certainly wasn't with help from the Trump campaign. It's very clear that Russia meddled in the election. It's also very clear that it didn't have an impact on the election, and it's also very clear that the Trump campaign didn't collude with the Russians in any way for this process to take place.
So if that's the case, why hasn't the president implemented the sanctions which Congress passed last year?
Look, frankly, that's not completely accurate. Look, this president's been tougher on Russia, far tougher on, well, there's a process that has to take place, and we're going through that process. That law also says that the countries have to violate something in order for those sanctions to go into place, and that hasn't necessarily happened. But what I can tell you, hold on, that the president has been extremely tough on Russia. He helped push through $700 billion to rebuild our military. I can assure you Russia is not excited about that. He's helped export energy to Eastern Europe. I can assure you Russia is not excited about that. He has put and upheld sanctions that the Obama administration put in place. He's upheld those. He's closed 3 diplomatic properties that were Russia's here in the United States. He has taken a number of actions against Russia and put pressure on them. He's helped arm the Ukrainians. There are a number of places that Obama was too weak and refused to take and put pressure on Russia where this president has.
There are Democrats and Republicans.
I'm going
They
to
said
keep
the
moving.
president
John,
could be much tougher. Why not?
Sorry, I'm
implement
sure
the
he'll pick up where you
sanctions
left
now?
off.
I'll pick up first a clarification from some of the president's tweets over the weekend. The president doesn't really think that the FBI failed to stop the Parkland shooter because it was too involved with the Russia investigation, does he?
I think he was speaking not necessarily that is the cause. I think we all have to be aware that the cause of this is that of a deranged individual that made a decision to take the lives of 17 other people. That is the responsibility of the shooter. Certainly not the responsibility of anybody else.
So did he mistweet when he said that? 'Cause he's pretty direct. He says, this is not acceptable. They are spending too much time trying to prove Russia
I think he's making the point that we would like our FBI agencies to not be focused on something that is clearly a hoax in terms of investigating the Trump campaign and its involvement.
The evidence is there that the
I
Russians
said that the
interfered with our
Trump
election.
campaign interfered and
But
colluded
this
with it.
investigation is obviously about what Russia did, and it raises the question now that you've said the president agrees, the national security advisor says the evidence is incontrovertible. What is the president going to do about it? What is he specifically doing about the fact that Russia interfered with our election and has every intention, we are told, of doing it again? What is he doing about it?
Look, just last week, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen met with a number of relevant stakeholders. They're discussing this process and going through and looking every single day at the best ways forward. Everybody wants to blame this on the Trump administration. Let's not forget that this happened under the Obama administration.
It happened over a year ago. What's he done about it?
We have spent a lot of time working on cybersecurity, focusing on protecting the fairness on our elections. And as I just said, the Department of Homeland Security met with state and local officials just over the last several weeks, along with election vendors, to make sure that our election system is secure. Last week, they met with state and private officials on how best to secure the election system from foreign interference. We're not the only targets of foreign interference, and we're working with our allies on the daily basis to make sure that we're following best practices. This has been a topic of conversation with multiple foreign heads of state. President Trump and the administration have made it clear that interference in our elections will have consequences, and we're going to continue to impose consequences in response to Russian cyber attacks. Just last week, we called out Russia by name. It was one of the first times that you've seen something like that take place. We're going to continue doing things like that.
The president hasn't criticized Vladimir Putin about this. He hasn't even called out Putin. He criticized Obama. He criticized the FBI. He didn't even criticize Vladimir Putin.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined. He's imposed sanctions. He's taken away properties. He's rebuilt our military. He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that will be reported in the coming days in another way that this president was tough on Russia.
Sarah.
You lying bitch. That's all I got to say here. Huckabee. Cockeyed Huckabee, you lying. Yeah, she was having a meltdown because they was putting that heat on your ass. So, what y'all always use? Obama. Obama ain't been in office. That's like ages ago. That shit ain't gonna work. Huckabee, you all right? You gonna make it. You gonna make it. All right. So somebody did ask a relevant question. Oh no, he not gonna come down on Putin. That's his daddy. That's his daddy. No. You don't come down on daddy. Because daddy will put your business in the street. And Huckabee, can you handle the heat? Can you handle it? You just tell people any type of thing. What the fuck the shooting got to do with this shit? You know, Trump done went off on Twitter like he usually do. That shit ain't gonna work no more. I take joy in giving you that work. Trump, is this fake news? Your white daddy gonna get you. Yeah, you gritting your teeth. Let me get off of here. So anyway, my royal family, I have to be responsible. Render your voice with your beautiful, divine words, like you always do. In my royal family, as always, thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And with that said, my royal family, Ashe. I'm a nut.